Welcome back. If you're on hold, just stay right there. We're going to come on back and start taking calls in a matter of moments. But a late addition to today's guest lineup, we're very happy to welcome in Festus Ezeli, who's actually got the night off. He's not going to be doing any pre or post for this Warriors preseason game tonight against the Portland Trailblazers, but he's nice enough to stop on by here. It's Damon and Ratto on 95.7 The Game. Ray is not here this week. Larry Krueger in for Ray Ratto. And Festus, it is a pleasure to have you on. It's been a long time since we've had the pleasure to say hello. How are you? How was your summer? How was the off season?
Damon and Larry, what's going on, fellas? My off season has been pretty spectacular, to be honest, but very short, which is a good problem to have after a championship.
It's always nice when it's a short off season for an NBA player, because that means last season probably went very, very well. And obviously it did go very well, Festus, for the Warriors, but getting off the launching pad for this year has not gone well. I am sure that you have been asked more times than you already care to be asked about the video and what Draymond did to Jordan Poole, but it's obviously one of the reasons why we wanted to have you on today, because you know more about NBA locker room culture, trust in teammates than Larry and I ever could. So when the whole thing happened, how did you feel about it? And then how did you feel about it after you saw the video?
First thing I thought is, I wonder what Jordan Poole says. Because, and not to laugh about it, because like it's one of those things. I think if anybody's ever been in the NBA locker room, they understand that, you know, playing a sport and being on the team together, we're all brothers, right? And even that brotherhood never goes away. Even now that I'm on the commentary side, I still have a brotherhood with these guys. And so Draymond has always been the agitator. And to see him in a situation like that, I've never known him to be someone to throw a punch. I've only ever known him as a guy who chips at people. And then when you fight, there's like a lot of pushing. So that was something that it felt out of character for him. So, you know, there's, even in listening to the interviews and talking, it's just understanding that, you know, it must have just really been a bad day for Draymond, you know, and we all are, you know, we're all guilty of things like that. I'm definitely not somebody who's going to sit here on my high horse and reprimand him for it. I don't think it was the right thing to do as a leader, but at the end of the day, like, you know, sometimes our emotions get the best of us. And so I saw that video, and I was really more upset about the fact that the video got out, because if you sat there and you scrutinized every detail of practice from, you know, all the teams, I'll speak from the locker rooms I've been in, there's a lot of those kind of situations. That's not for the public to sit there and judge. It's actually supposed to be between the team. And so this is going to be a tough road for the Warriors to navigate, but if there's any team that can navigate it, especially with Steve Kerr and Steph Curry at the helm, I think that the Golden State Warriors can handle this.
You know, there's a lot of unknowns. We don't know the background in their relationship, and we don't know exactly what led to it. But I agree. To me, the fight, and I guess maybe I'm in a smaller minority of people that I don't like. When I first heard there was fisticuffs, and then I saw it, I didn't have any. I didn't change from like, oh, there was fisticuffs, and then I saw the punch and thought, wow, this is on a totally different level. I know what fisticuffs looks like, and I felt like that's what I was expecting to see. It was a little bit more on the power side. It was more of a power punch than like a typical fight between non-fighters, which oftentimes is a slap fight. But beyond all that, Festus, what should Golden State do? I mean, what should they do with Draymond? Do you trade him? Do you cut him? Do you fine him? Do you suspend him? What is the proper thing to do?
Traded after a punch in a fight. I mean, listen, like I said, I am definitely not someone to sit here and act like that's something that's above any. Like, I've been in a game where my emotions got the best of me, and they didn't trade me after I did something. So that's a situation that it is a tricky situation, because you have a leader in Draymond Green, and I feel like this action, maybe it affects the way people view the Warriors, but I don't think it affects the way you view Draymond, because Draymond has always been a guy who's an agitator, right? They have to mend their relationships. You know, their relationship has to be mended in some way, at least enough for them to go play a game, because at the end of the day, you have a job to do. The Warriors need to win, and you need both Draymond and Jordan Poole at this current moment with the team and the makeup that they have to win games. So I think that they just, they have to figure out a way. As brothers, we all get on each other's nerves. I'm sure you guys have family that you guys get into fights. You figure out a way to kiss and make up, and y'all get to doing what you need to do. And because at the end of the day, everybody else in the NBA, this is what I saw. I saw everybody else in the NBA being excited to see the Warriors have some issue, because this has been a moral, like a high character organization for such a long time. And what is the thing that can break this team down? It's something where they feel like, okay, well, the players themselves have to break this down, because the trades haven't affected them. Kevin Durant leaving has not affected them. They still won a championship. So what can we do, and what can happen to break this dynasty down? Because we don't stand a chance of winning. This is how I see it anyway. So everybody got excited because they saw, oh, well, this could be the thing. I don't think this is going to be the thing. I think that Steve Kerr, Steph Curry, Draymond Green is a leader. He's a born leader, and when the time comes, I've seen him play his best basketball after making, being suspended in a Game 5 of in the finals. So I just say that this is just going to be one of those tests. The adversity came early in the season, which you don't expect it to after a championship season, but you grow and you show your true character in moments like this. So I think this is just an opportunity for everybody to understand who the Golden State Warriors are. And it's going to be a good challenge for Bob Myers to be able to manage a situation like this. Also, because it is public, right? You have everybody scrutinizing what the decision is, or whatever the reprimand is going to be. Everybody's going to be scrutinizing it. So that's a thing for Bob Myers and Steve Kerr to handle. And then it's going to be a little bit of a dark cloud for a little while, because everybody's going to be talking about it. But once the games start and the Warriors start doing what the Warriors do, I think it's going to be old news really quickly.
Tip it off and beat the Lakers on opening night. This is probably in the rearview mirror quickly. Indeed. Festus Ezeli, nice enough to join us here on 95.7 The Game. How much is on Steph's plate to get this team through this? How do you think Steph, if he were, judge and jury all by himself, how do you think Steph Curry would handle this?
If Steph Curry were a judge and jury, it's kind of funny, because I think this is a new situation for everybody in the situation, right? Like, this is a new territory for Draymond, because Draymond is usually the guy who has to, sit there and be one of the guys who helps mend the situation. No, now he's on the other side. So Steph has to step out, and he has to be the vocal leader here. And Steph always he usually leads by action, but this is going to be a chance for him to grow. And every year is always, there was the funny joke about, Steph going to Bob Myers and saying, hey, you need to pay me more. I need more money to having to deal with stuff like this. This is just another thing in the Warriors. I think this is just another moment that they have to figure out how to grow. This is for everybody. This is for Klay. This is for Kevon Looney. This is a moment for people to step out of their comfort zones and be leaders in this moment, especially with Draymond being out. They have a short off season, or they had a short off season, but they also had a short training camp. And all this is more stress on the team, because they have to, instead of working on their sets and working on plays and getting ready for the season, they're having to deal with this drama. And then not having Draymond there, who's one of the best playmakers on the team, it's going to affect the team for a little while. But last season, they dealt with some drama. They lost players. They've got players back. They dealt with all the drama. And they have deposited a lot of trust in me. So I understand that I'm not going to bet against the Golden State Warriors. I'm not going to bet against Steph Curry and his leadership. I'm not going to bet against Andre Iguodala or Steve Kerr. This team has proven too much to me for me to just lose hope after one incident.
It's a really interesting thing, because we don't see it a lot, and there's so many dynamics, and the players have a lot of control in the NBA, and probably rightfully so. That being said, who ultimately do you think, Festus, ought to decide Draymond's fate? I mean, should Jordan Poole have any say in this? Is this a Joe Lacob call? Is this a Myers call? Steph is the best player on the team, and you could argue the leader of the team. Is it Steph's call? Is it the players' vote? I mean, who do you think should determine Draymond's fate going forward here?
This team has always been one there's a bunch of leaders on this team. And so with the veterans, they sit together and they make decisions like this all the time. Like I said, I think this is going to be one of those things where the team is going to make decisions. And they sit together and everybody hears each other out. But then ultimately, it falls down to, Steve Kerr to make the decision of what he's going to do with his team. And then Bob Myers and him are going to come together, and that's just what it is. I don't think that this is something where Joe Lacob has to be involved. That's not, this is a team, and this happened within the team. Like I talk about the brotherhood and the things that we go through. So Draymond has apologized as much as I've heard is that he's apologized, which he's probably going to have to do a little bit more apologizing. I say let them fight one more time, to be honest, because I think Jordan Poole might want to get him back too, but this is just one of those things where the leaders are going to have to make the decision. I think that Steve Kerr is one of those people, and they'll sit down, and this is something that could have been handled way differently if it wasn't public knowledge. But because it is public knowledge now, it almost it's like you have to appease the judge and jury that is the fans, and so that's a tough place to be, and that's something that's new for the Golden State Warriors as a franchise.
Yeah, I mean, this is one of the real kinks in the armor that we've seen from this franchise, and that video leak is obviously a concern for the Warriors. When you don't know who stepped outside of the circle of trust, it makes everyone start looking at each other a little differently in the circle, and that's an issue that they're investigating, obviously, as we go on here. Festus Ezeli, nice enough to join us. By the way, we're close enough to the top of the hour. Just got to pause real quick. Welcome, everyone, to 4 o'clock.
You're listening to 95.7 The Game, KGMZ FM and HD1 San Francisco. Always live on Twitch, YouTube, and the free Odyssey app. Damn well better be free.
So, Festus, obviously, huge expectations for the Warriors. I mean, nothing less than a repeat is going to make anyone around here happy. I think that they actually got it in them. I think that they won their next title a year too early. I think they were a year ahead of schedule. And with Clay finally now more than 12 months removed from catastrophic injuries, I think we're going to get a better version of him. I think Jordan Poole is a phenomenal player and hopefully continues along that track. There's a youth movement. Iguodala's back. It should be a very good year for the Golden State Warriors. And that finally brings us to James Wiseman.
I was just about to say, you can't forget the big fella. Why everybody just want to forget the big fellas? What's going on with that, man?
Well, here's the thing. This is the team that invented small ball. So they're like, we don't even need big fellas, but they do. And if you got one, you got a weapon.
That has never been true. There's never been true that they didn't need a big guy. Okay? Kevon Looney came out and played out of his mind.
He did.
This past postseason, past year in general. He played all 82 games last year, one of 6 players to do that. And Andrew Wiggins was rebounding like an animal in the playoffs. And so these are two things, and these two guys really, really stepped it up. But they still need a big man. The championship that they've won, even the one that we lost together, they needed big men, and the big man to get to that point. So James Wiseman is going to be such a great addition for this team, a big guy in the middle that can run, that is extremely skilled. He's going to make Steph's job a lot easier. You see the lobs. I miss seeing those, the pick and rolls for lobs, especially even Draymond. That's the part I wanted to see, and I'm excited about. I really don't want to talk about this drama anymore. I want to see Klay Thompson come back for his second year. I want to see the addition of JaMychal Green, the evolution of Jordan Poole, Andrew Wiggins. Let's see him keep developing because he is still 26 years old. I don't people forget that as well. You got Kevon Looney coming back. What's he going to do with the addition of Wiseman? There are so many moving pieces. You got DiVincenzo. I hope I'm saying that properly, but you have him as a new addition. So how is he going to fit in that role? Especially with the loss of GP. How is the team going to continue evolving? How is Steph's leadership going to continue to evolve? And these are all the things and all the pieces that you have to look at and the things that get me excited as I'm looking at the NBA season, because you also have other teams that are re-upping. You have the Lakers, you have the Clippers, you have teams who are coming in. Sacramento Kings took one of our coaches. How are they going to look? They look pretty good so far. So the Brooklyn Nets, that's another team on the other side. Obviously, Milwaukee. All these are the different movements and the pieces in the NBA season that you get excited about. So I really hate talking about the drama. That's not me. That's not what I want to. That's not what I want to do. I joined the NBC broadcast team so I could talk hoops, talk basketball, and talk about these guys that I love so much. So this team is going to be fine. And I can't wait to see them compete again.
Well, no pity for the Warriors, that's for sure. No one's about to throw this team a pity party. And the only element is feeling bad for Bonte Hill trying to keep up with you guys dressing. I mean, that's where I feel. What are your forget about James Wiseman? What are your expectations for Bonte Hill in year 3?
Bonte Hill, he is going to be the superstar of the show. I predict him winning MVP of our pregame and post.
Emmy? Are we calling Emmy? Is this an Emmy for a local Emmy for Bonte?
Bonte has been he is my Steph Curry. He is the guy who I set the pick and roll with him, and I dive to the rim, and he throws it up right next to the rim, and all I have to do is just dunk it. So he's been such a great help for me, especially transitioning into this new role and learning a new skill. I just, for the past couple of years, I was working so hard to get back to basketball, and this came and fell in my lap, and I started doing it. I realized that I loved it. So having Chris Mullins, having Durrell right there with me, Kerrith Burke, Grant Liffman, who left and went to join the Atlanta Hawks. But, this team with Monte Poole especially, these are all people who have made this transition so seamless for me. And one of the reasons why I decided to come back this season, I'm actually moving to San Francisco tomorrow, and I'll be there for the first game on the 18th. So this team has been phenomenal. If you put me next to any good people and have me work with them, I have a great time. So I look forward to all the antics and all the TikToks, like Chris Mullins says, because I keep trying to get Chris Mullins to do a dance on TikTok. I think I'm going to get him this year.
Oh, man. Anytime you're hanging with Mully and Bonte, you're going to have a good time. Hey, this, to me, is one of the most fun teams to watch in basketball. In fact, the NBA GM survey was out this week, and they asked the GMs, who's the most fun team to watch in the league? And they said the Warriors, 52%. Memphis was second at 28%. Who is Festus? Who's the most fun player for you to watch on this current edition of the Warriors? Who's obviously anybody would love to watch Steph, but
except for Steph,
yeah, outside of Steph, who would you say is the most fun player for you to watch?
This season, I went through so many different emotions watching Klay Thompson because I felt like his return was almost like it was symbolic for me. It's like because you understand that I've been through the journey of having injuries myself. And so with that, I think Klay Thompson was the person just watching his growth, how he continued to deal with, not being able to move like he wanted to at first, and then eventually just breaking through and just continuing having this mindset that never, I feel like he just never wavered. He was frustrated at times, like you always want to play well, but eventually just having that consistency to keep showing up and eventually being one of the reasons why this team won a championship, especially, dude, that does not happen. It doesn't happen that you have an injury and come back into a season and expect to play well. He had 2 consecutive back-to-back injuries, subsequent injuries, and after that, he came back and they expected him to be the piece to help the team go win a championship. That's insane. But for him, it was what he expected of himself, and watching him through the journey that last season was very special. And obviously watching them, the Splash Brothers, back together, that was really cool as well. But then also this season you have James Wiseman coming back, so that's who I'm going to be excited watching because I have 2 guards. I don't know if Bonte Hill is a guard, but I have Durrell Wright and Chris Mullin, who are always talking about the guards. So now I got a big man to talk about, and that's all I'll be talking about the whole season is James Wiseman and all the big men and what that battle of the bigs is going to look like now that we have a legitimate threat in the middle of the paint.
So you tried to make a comeback in 2021. You got some run in the G League with the Westchester Knicks. One of the reasons why people have always been drawn to you, Festus, is because you're a real person. And you talk about vulnerabilities. Like you don't just shine when the sun is out and everything's good. You talk about when things have gone bad. What was it like to finally process that your playing days were behind you? Was that a tough thing to go through, or was the long road back sort of the wind up you needed to watch your playing days kind of end?
I don't think any basketball player ever feels like their playing days are over. Right, so we all still feel like we can play. I think that the long road back has taught me a lot of stuff, a lot of things. There's so much about my recovery journey that I can take and use in my next phase of life, especially even taking on this new challenge right now with commentary and broadcasting and doing all the things. But I have learned to appreciate the journey more than ever before. What people don't understand about my journey is I was in a wheelchair for 6 months. And that in itself is something that taught me so much. I just never knew what it was like to be in a situation like that. I needed people's help to go to the bathroom and get food and all the things. So I appreciate all the things I'm able to do. Whether I can play basketball or not play basketball anymore, there's still a way for me to affect winning or affect the team that I'm in. There's always opportunities for me to take advantage of, which has been the story of my life so far. I came from Nigeria at 15 years old and started playing basketball at 16. And with the way my journey has gone, you have no idea what it is that you can accomplish when you have a vision and you continue to stay positive, be a good person, and work hard. So, yes, I might not be able to play right now, but who knows what tomorrow holds.
Who was the first person to ever put a basketball in your hand, and how much did that person change your life?
Well, my uncle found a basketball team, an AAU team, in the back of a newspaper. At the time, I lived in Yuba City, Northern California. So that's the way we found the basketball team the first time, and I went to this team, and I tried to play. I knew nothing about the rules. My first basketball basket was against my own team because I didn't know the rules. I didn't know at halftime you switch sides of the court. And that's where I started, very humble beginnings. And the only thing I could credit the rest of this journey to is faith, a lot of hard work, but just also being, a lot of people, good people coming into my life and really just believing in me as a human. So I say that all the time, and I say this story because for this next phase of my life, starting new, I'm really excited to see what else God has in store for me and what else I can accomplish.
Well, let me tell you, man, I know you're passing the buck and trying to compliment a lot of people for getting you where you are, but you're clearly a man of character and have an awful lot to do with where you are and who you are, got you through all these phases of your life. And I tell you, since you're moving to San Francisco, maybe you come on by the studio one day and do a show with us so we can really get into you, your career, what's next. We'd love to have you in studio sometime, Festus.
Don't threaten me with a good time. I'm ready.
There you go. Well, it'll probably be Ray, so I don't know how good of a time it'll be, but we'll make it work out for you. We'd love to have you in, Festus. Thanks so much for joining us today. It was great to catch up with you.
Thank you guys for having me. And everybody, let's show some love to our brother Draymond Green right now, especially because everybody is really on his case. But you got to understand that everybody's human and we all make mistakes. So I'm excited for this team to get our brother back, for Jordan Poole and Draymond Green to kiss and make up, and for the Warriors to be back doing what the Warriors do.
Festus Ezeli. That's a good guy right there. That's Absolutely. A hell of a teammate right there. It's a man of character. Sports don't build character. They reveal it. That guy's character just drips out of him.